As you may or may not have heard recently, there's been a big piece of news regarding Call of Duty and the player count that seems to have been dropping off. Now, it's not news that Black Ops 6 has had its fair share of controversies since it released and has had a lot of negativity surrounding it, including accusations of AI use in the art, the replacement of voice actors and zombies, the issues with servers, hackers, so much more. Now, the recent news has shown that apparently since release, Black Ops 6 has lost over 30% of its players on Steam, which seems to be a much bigger decline than previous Call of Duty titles on the platform. However, does this really mean that Call of Duty is in a historic decline, or is there more to the story than that? And that's really what I want to talk about in today's video. Now, yes, a 37% decline, or at least 60,000 or so players being lost over a short period of time, basically since October, that's a pretty rough look for Black Ops 6. It's clear that not a lot of people are very happy with Black Ops 6 and that there's lots of problems that are taking place over the course of the game. When Black Ops 6 released, there was a lot of excitement online and people felt like maybe Activision had taken some notes from previous successes and failures in Call of Duty and were really making a comeback. But it also looks like there have just been so many problems that a lot of the excitement has dwindled with so many people in the player base. The campaign, in a lot of people's eyes, was a solid return for the franchise. Modern Warfare 2019 was a great story, but they really fumbled with Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3. I liked MW2's campaign, but yeah, it wasn't the same in terms of quality as Modern Warfare 2019. And then, of course, yeah, Modern Warfare 3's campaign was an absolute disaster. But Black Ops 6's campaign had a lot of positive notes, continued Cold War story well enough, and it was fine. The multiplayer launched in a pretty good state as well, but since then, there are a lot of problems that have been plaguing the game and causing a lot of people to basically ditch and leave it behind and play other stuff instead. Firstly, the use of generative AI content. Now, this isn't confirmed, and Activision didn't really state whether or not these accusations were true, but a lot of people have said that AI art is basically being used in Black Ops 6, especially in the calling cards and the loading screens. Those are sort of the more obvious examples. I don't know with 100% certainty if this is true or not, and I don't want to say that it is without full confirmation. I've seen a lot of AI art before. It's very possible that AI was used in Black Ops 6, though in tandem with actual digital art, and whoever just, was kind of photo bashing these things together probably just didn't really do it well enough, or maybe it was done in a way that made it look too AI-like. I mean, it is true that Treyarch had apparently put up a job posting for people who could work with generative AI and polish art made both by humans and AI. So it's very, very possible that AI was used in these circumstances. There was the controversy with the voice actors as well. Some of them were replaced in zombies because they wanted a clause that would protect them from use of generative AI. So there's just a sort of issue going on with AI in general in Call of Duty. Now, whatever the situation may be, that definitely has been contributing to a lot of people's anger at Black Ops 6, because to them, AI feels pretty lazy to use in a premium annually released game from one of the biggest companies in gaming right now, especially since also Call of Duty as an IP is now under Microsoft's wing, which is a $1 trillion market cap company. Like, you feel like there's no excuse for that sort of a thing. But at the same time, Microsoft is also a huge contributor to the AI space with their work on, their Bing image generator. They've also got Copilot. Like, there's a lot of AI use at Microsoft. It's not something that they're like hiding. It's pretty clearly there. And also, AI is pretty much, I would say, in everything we see around us today. I mean, it is there. So it's sort of a natural consequence of this development in technology. It's not going to stop at Call of Duty in the slightest, which is just the way of the world. Either way though, that's not really our discussion for today's video. That can be a subject we could go on and on about in a completely different time. But another issue that a lot of people have been having is that there's been a pretty apparent cheating issue in the game. Now, Treyarch recently tweeted that they were able to ban about 20,000 cheater accounts. Obviously, that's a big figure, and it's probably not nearly enough to scratch the surface on the amount of hackers that are going to be in a game like this. Personally, I didn't experience any obvious issues with cheating. Now, is it possible that there were cheaters in some of the lobbies I was in? Very possible, but like I said, nothing super obvious. I assume that a big factor of this cheating thing has to be Warzone, since that's a free-to-play game. It's probably easier to churn out cheats and stuff for a free-to-play game more than most games. Still, it seems to be big enough that it's ruining the experience for a lot of players out there. Now, at the same time as this, there are people who are apparently spam reporting and abusing the cheat report system. So a lot of accounts that are kind of like what Activision is calling, or I think Treyarch is calling, like malicious reporting, they're being banned. So maybe there are people who think that there's hackers in their lobbies and it's not a hacker, it's just someone who is really good at the game. I don't know. Some people are really good that they seem like hackers sometimes, you know what I mean? But anyways, server issues are another really big problem that's been affecting Black Black Ops 6, and I personally did have some problems with this as well. There's been issues with people getting booted from games because of the server problems, strange lag, desync with their bullets that's causing them to get killed, and so much more. Now, this is clearly a problem that can easily detract from the gameplay experience, and the more it goes on, the harder it gets for people to feel motivation to play, because why would you want to play if there's a connection problem? You can't even get into a lobby, or you can't stay in one, or you can barely play. I have the best speed of internet in my area, and even I'm experiencing problems, and this is under like experimentation. You know, I didn't run literally anything else in my house. I would just like try the game out, no YouTube, Netflix, internet, nothing. I would just run the game. I'd change my spot in the house to get closer or further from my fiber router, and I still had that problem. So clearly it's not like just oh, your Wi-Fi speed is bad. No, there's also a problem on Activision's servers ends. A lot of problems are also related to the maps, and yeah, this is probably the biggest complaint that I have with the game as well. I love maps like Nuketown, but that's like one map. That's not nearly enough to sustain a game like this. You need a good cycle of maps every now and then. However, a lot of the maps that have been thrown into this game have been abysmal at best. Sometimes I myself will back out of the Season 1 playlist because I can't stand a certain map such as Hacienda. Stakeout as a map is really bland, but in general it's the best map for grinding camos faster and generally getting things done. But again, that's just one map, and I'm not really playing on Stakeout for the fun of it. It's a camo grinding map. That's my opinion though. The spawns are also a big problem, and there's a lot of issues with players just like spawning next to an enemy multiple times and dying each time they immediately respawn. I can attest to this. It happened to me many times before. I'll spawn in an area, there's an enemy 3 times in a row. I'll get shot before I can even move like a little bit from the area. So it's very annoying. There's also been the skill-based damage and skill-based matchmaking issue discourse. You know, skill-based matchmaking is a thing that has been in Call of Duty for a while now, where it's like you get matched with people at your skill point or based off of the performance of your skills in the game. Then there's skill-based damage. That's been something that's been thrown around a lot, where it's like somehow the game is designed in a way where, you know, if you do really well, they're trying to keep everybody at a certain KD point, so they'll like decrease the damage of your bullets, or they won't make it work that way. I don't know if that's like a desync issue with the servers, if that is actually skill-based damage. They didn't talk about skill-based damage before, but skill-based matchmaking is 100% there. It's going to be controversial for a long time. Now, these are definitely 100% of the way factors in the decline of players on Steam and maybe in the game in general, but I think the important thing that we need to ask ourselves is this: are Steam numbers really representative of the entire sphere of the Call of Duty player base? This is a sort of issue I have with some of the discussion around the Steam numbers. Yes, they're bad, but I think there's more to it than just that. Firstly, Steam has never represented the majority of players in a game like Call of Duty. PC itself is not nearly the majority of Call of Duty players. Besides, a lot of PC players tend to play a lot of different games. There are many games that are PC only, they tend to play those, and there's also Xbox and Battle.net for playing Call of Duty now, and I'm sure a lot of people with something like PC Game Pass are going to be playing Black Ops 6 through the Xbox launcher and not the Steam launcher. That's personally what I'm doing, because I have Game Pass Ultimate, so I just launched the game through Xbox. I haven't touched Steam for it at all, and this is coming from someone that uses Steam all the time as a PC player. Another thing we need to consider is the fact that Game Pass support was added immediately at day one. There's not even going to be that many people on Steam from the get-go for this game, and I can assure you that 60,000 players being lost is not nearly enough to call a historic decline or a majority, because we only have Steam numbers to go off of. I personally would want to see numbers from Xbox and Battle.net for PC players only before I can call this a super bad decline for the game. Like, it's dead, it's over, it's finished. Also, something that has sort of been glossed over in this entire discourse is that Black Ops 6 is still the second most played game on Xbox and PlayStation. That's where the player base is, and I can tell you that the only way I can say for sure that Call of Duty is dead in the ground in a ditch is if the console player base dropped in the most dramatic fashion ever. Like, Call of Duty isn't even in the top 10 on those platforms anymore. Like, that's an actual decline. You really need to look at console figures for this game, because since its conception and since Call of Duty became really mainstream, it's been mainstream because it's very much a console focused game that also plays on PC. This game is really optimized for consoles. People play with controllers most of the time. Even people who buy new consoles, they're going for Call of Duty first as like sort of the game that they want to get a console for. It's also one of the reasons why, you know, when Microsoft acquired Activision, that caused a lot of problems for Sony, because they were scared that they were going to lose access to Call of Duty on PlayStation. And obviously, if that's something that's so concerning that regulators kept bringing bringing it up, which was most of the discourse was around Call of Duty. I mean, Microsoft acquiring Activision for like $70 billion, it's not about Activision, it's about the IP of Call of Duty. So, you know, if Call of Duty was that valuable, Sony really wanted it. Obviously, Call of Duty is dominant on the console market more than it will be on the PC market. You know, it's not a super competitive first-person shooter game either. Yeah, there's ranked play, but that's like one thing. Most people who are playing Call of Duty, they are just playing because it's been a long day at school, long day at work. This is just a game that they're used to. They've been playing their whole lives. These sorts of factors really contribute to the vast majority of players. The vast majority are casual. They play this game for the fun of it, and they like that it's basically the same game every single year. That consistency helps Call of Duty because you're not like gonna be surprised. You know what I mean? So most people don't even touch the campaign. They just play multiplayer. So even if a campaign does particularly bad, we can't even say that the game does bad until results from the multiplayer comes out. And even so, as long as I don't see any figures from PlayStation or Xbox, and even the Xbox app on PC for the benefit of the doubt about the player counts dropping or declining sharply in the exact same way that they have on Steam, I will not say with absolute certainty that Call of Duty is dead, historically dropping off, blah, 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 you know, whatever those terms are. I mean, let's even look back at the history of Call of Duty itself as a franchise. A lot of people thought that, you know, Infinite Warfare got so much hate. So yeah, Call of Duty's dead then, right? People hated on Black Ops 2 when it came out. People hated on Advanced Warfare, Ghosts, which is making a rebound lately for some reason. People hated on Modern Warfare 2019, Black Ops Cold War. I could keep going, but I'm gonna be listing probably like every Call of Duty game. So the player decline on Steam is pretty rough, but it's not enough for me to say that the game is dead and nobody's playing because it's still not the majority of the player base. And also, something that people don't consider is the factor of boredom and burnout. If you're playing Call of Duty all day, every day for like 3 months or something straight, I think it's pretty much a natural thing to assume that you're gonna be bored. I mean, I think it'd be strange if you weren't bored of something after you've been playing it for so long. Also, a lot of people, you know, early in the game's life cycle have already finished the camo grind, are going through the prestige levels fast, they're finished with the Season 1 battle pass, and so on. So yeah, there's burnout and people are flying through the content that the game has to offer. So again, you're naturally gonna be bored of something if you're just doing that thing all the time, every day. Come Season 2's launch, you'll see a lot of people coming back, and that's just the way that it is. People are people, we get bored of stuff. It's normal for people to leave a game behind if they're bored of it. Now, does this mean that nobody is abandoning this game? Absolutely not. But with a game like Call of Duty and the sheer figure of people that play every year, there's a lot of people who stick with it, take breaks from it, leave it entirely, leave it and then come back to it, and so on. So, and yeah, that doesn't detract from the fact that there's problems in this game. I will be the first to say, like, if you want a game to be really good, you also have to talk about the things that you don't like about a game so that these things can be improved. If you're only saying there's nothing wrong, you're just kind of like putting blinders over your eyes. You're not really seeing that there's issues with the game because you want the game to be fun so you can keep playing, so you can actually enjoy the game time. But again, I don't know if these problems are rampant enough for the player base to drop as a whole. Like I said, I really need to see figures from console players more than I do PC only. So, in conclusion, are the declining players on Steam bad? Yes. Does this spell the end of the franchise though? No, I don't think so. There's more to it than that. But in any case, what do you all think about this? I'm curious to know, so let me know in the comments below. With that being said, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to share this video and leave a like, subscribe with notifications set to all so you don't miss out on another upload, and that's all for today, folks.
About time. All right, I'll unlock the observation port in his holding tank. Then he should be able to hear you.
Raptor 1, we're making progress. I want us off this rock as soon as he's free.